but step up to the plate. Senator Lindsey Graham, he's got a written statement here, and he says, fired FBI Director James Comey's written statement vindicated President Donald Trump, and it's not likely that the special prosecutor in the Russia collusion case will persuade obstruction of justice charges. So Senator Lindsey Graham, he said today in a statement, Comey said that the president is not a target or subject to an investigation, counterintelligence, criminal or otherwise, regarding Russian collusion as of this moment. This is the South Carolina Republican who was telling CBS this morning, something may happen later, but as right now, this moment, the president is not under investigation for colluding with Russia. In addition, he said, unless the former FBI director, Robert Mueller, the special prosecutor in the Russian collusion investigation, is a complete idiot, which he is not, he has concluded there is no obstruction of justice involved with Trump. If he had concluded otherwise, Comey would not testify, said Graham. You wouldn't let your chief witness go through the process if you really believed he had a case to prosecute. To think otherwise really is silly. And at the end of the day, Comey's actions tend to suggest that he didn't believe the president committed a crime. Comey, in his written statement, said Trump told him that he needs his loyalty, and Graham said that was inappropriate. But then again, half of what Trump does is not okay. If you try to convict him for being a bull in a china shop, rude and crude, you would win, said Graham. A lot of the stuff troubles me, but it's not a crime. He also said he does believe Trump was trying to help former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn when he had asked Comey about the case, as he had been punished enough. However, Comey testified under oath on May 3rd before he was fired. It did not mention interference by anyone, but now that he's fired, he has a different story to tell. But here's the deal. But the story described by Comey is disturbing. It was inappropriate by the president to put him in this situation. Graham also told that he does not believe Trump is colluding with Russia, and he believes there has been a weak and native response to Russia about the election. He seems to have a view of Russia, President Vladimir Putin, different from everybody else in Washington, and that really bothers me, said Graham. Let me tell you, there is no collusion and no obstruction. Here's a guy that doesn't 100% obviously love Donald Trump. I mean, bull in a china shop, rude and crude. That's tell me how you really feel. I mean, there's people that believe that about Donald Trump. He's not the smoothest guy. He could use a little refinement, couldn't he? But personally, if he can get the job done, it doesn't bother me. And I've said this before. I like to use analogies. I mean, if you're going to court, do you want a nice guy? You want the nicest guy on the block, got the nicest smile, nicest suit? He just talks so soft. Or do you want somebody that's a dick? Well, I'm not going to say that again, but somebody that actually can put their foot down. Maybe not everybody likes him, but he gets the job done. A lot of my bosses through the years, and I've worked for corporate America for many years in the broadcasting business, and I got to tell you, some of them were just not very nice. But they were very good at what they did. Very good, as a matter of fact. And it's not just in the broadcasting business. It's just that you don't always find the nicest personalities. Not everybody is friendly. They're just not. They're rough and tumble. But people tolerate them largely because of their performance, what they're able to get done. I think this has been a huge learning experience, I hope, for Donald Trump to be careful, oh so careful, of what comes out of his mouth, or as the Spanish say, out of his boca. You got to be careful. He probably said all these things. I'm sure he did say these things. But again, doesn't show any obstruction. Doesn't show any collusion with the Russians. And God, for anybody that might be involved with Donald Trump that did collude, they're going to be in trouble because the investigations will continue. So I hope somebody is forthcoming with that information so it doesn't bring down the Trump administration any further than it is right now. What a recent Quinnipiac, that's how you say it, 30%. It's brought the numbers down to an all-time low. Now, if you're a Trump supporter, you could care less about numbers because it was the numbers that said that Trump wasn't going to get in. But that's what they polled, and they've been pretty accurate. But all of this attention, all this negative attention, has taken away from a lot of the good things that have happened with, billions and trillions of dollars of infrastructure and arms deals in the Middle East, all that money that's going to go into the economy and strengthen the economy. Unemployment rates down, and Wall Street's up, and just all the good numbers. But you're not going to hear about all these good things. I mean, healthcare is being worked on right now. And what is hoped, and this is going to be taking place next week, is a lot of the insiders are hoping that this move with Melania Trump moving into the White House next week, finally, for some reason, I already thought that she was back. She went to the Middle East trip, but she didn't. She went back to New York afterwards. Melania Trump will be moving to Washington next week with Barron, the 11-year-old boy, according to Politico. And the Trumps will arrive next week. Now, Trump's parents, Victor and Emilia Neves, are expected to help Barron, but are not planning to relocate. Michelle Obama's mother, as you know, Maureen Robinson, lived in the White House to help care for Mila and Sasha when they lived in the White House. So it's not uncommon to have mother-in-laws that they're going to settle for a little bit and help Barron, because we understand that first lady's needed, and this could, her presence, it's not going to stop any of the investigations, but one of the things it could provide is, some needed stability, showing that he's got his personal business under control. And having their young son living under the roof, I mean, it might be a nice thing to see that side of maybe President Trump walking with Barron and maybe a dog. I haven't heard of a dog. Maybe they get a dog, but these type of things actually have an effect on the American psyche. But I tell you, like I said before the break, a lot of what the people are pointing their fingers at with the WikiLeaks and collusion and all this other stuff with folks talking to the Russians. I mean, this is something that's done before the election. That was after the election with Flynn, talking with these folks, having conversations with them. All these folks have to be so careful. And especially because of the climate of Washington right now, especially with the left that's out to hang anything that Donald Trump does. So moving forward, after the investigation, man, oh man, I hope to God that they keep their noses clean for just any possible thinking that there might be anything that could be questionable moving forward. I mean, because you're going to have everything under a microscope. And, you're supposed to hold people in power, certainly to a higher account. But, man, Barack Obama, he got away with murder. Bill Clinton got away with murder. Just notice that any liberal that's been in the White House gets away with it. They're out to hang. Oh, yeah, had it been Barack Hussein Obama, please. Tell me that this would be gone this far. They would not be making such a big deal out of it. So hopefully, the communications department, in the White House, they can sit down, they can talk, and I'm convinced that Donald Trump, after all of this, must have had some kind of coming to Jesus meeting. Hopefully by now, that says, look, I have to buck up here. I have to clean this up. I can't be Trump the construction guy. Can't be Trump the deal maker on television with The Apprentice. I have to be the president of the United States. I have to be more presidential. Everything could be used against me. Think like a lawyer. And see, Trump is not a lawyer. But at the same token, we want him to actually be a fighter for us. We don't want him to forget what it is that he came to Washington in the first place. And unfortunately, there's these formalities and that Comey was talking about that they've enjoyed with the FBI for so many different years, and it just can't be loose. You have to be very stringent. It's Washington. And so there's this certain amount of tradition that you have to follow and have to know. And listening to Washington insiders, people that have a grip on Washington and paying attention to what they say. Lord knows we don't need more investigations if we don't have to have them. But again, you know, the firing of the firing of Comey was all the fodder I think that the left needed to really just try to go in there for this witch hunt, because they were able to mesh every single thing, as you noticed in the hearing. They were able to talk about every single thing in the kitchen sink and then some, and to try to air it out, all the conventional thinking on the left, just to get it out. And the headlines is just amazing. CNN, oh my God, these people need to go off the air. I wish that, you know, when they get fake news or they get bad news, when they get out, you know, they're just sitting here with this crap that they spew over the airwaves and release stuff as if they were going to hang him or release information beforehand saying that Comey is going to go show that, you know, that Trump was, interfering with an investigation and strong-arming him and all this other crap, and it was a bunch of BS. And so they had to retract it, according to the Washington Post. But, of course, this is the headlines they throw up on the television set to try to get everybody all stirred up and all upset. But as far as Pinocchios go, CNN, MSNBC, both of them, just raunchy headlines, trying to get everybody tuned in, everybody riled up to show that Donald Trump purposely went into this to obstruct justice, which is just BS. But anyway, by the way, former White House counsel John Dean said yesterday that the former FBI Director James Comey planned disclosures to Congress on President Donald Trump's pressure to close the Michael Flynn Russia investigation looked like obstruction to me. The most striking thing is that Comey's norm of late has not been to use prepared statements. This is Dean, who was implicated in the Watergate scandal during the Nixon administration, told Aaron Burnett of CNN he's obviously carefully prepared his statement. It reflects that this is not just the tip of the iceberg of this investigation, that it has worked with his colleagues and kept them briefed throughout the drill because he probably was alarmed and did not see problems and knew indeed he might be a witness. Comey's opening remarks were posted online yesterday by the Senate Intelligence Committee, before which will testify in open session, which he is today, as you know. He said in the 7-page statement that President Trump asked him to end the investigation of the former national security advisor in a February White House meeting and to pledge his loyalty over a private dinner the previous month. Notice he added his own words, that he asked him to end the investigation. He never said that. This is the crap, and CNN's touting it. Aaron Burnett on CNN, that's what I'm referring to. These are the kind of idiots that they put on the air. He never said that. He just wanted to go easy on him. That's it. He didn't say shut it down, stop investigating. That's BS. By the way, this half hour is brought to you by 123 Ready TV. It is a app that you can have on your computer or your Android devices, and it opens up the movie store. Imagine being able to have access to any title, anywhere, at any time. That's what this thing does.